Yeah. Wouldn't have been a good way to start.
No, it really wouldn't have. Hey, everybody. It is Fake Fireside Chats with Tracy and guest. Oh my goodness, we have a guest.
Yay!
Again. Fran's going to become a regular. We should have regular guests with Fran Watson.
That sounds cool.
I know, right? Fran and I just like hanging out together, so it gives us an excuse.
We do indeed.
It gives us an excuse just to do that. Now we can say that we're working.
Exactly.
Exactly. We're not just having coffee and chatting.
We are having coffee.
We are having coffee and chatting. Yeah, we're not really fooling anybody, I don't think, at all. Anyway, so this fake fireside chat is a little bit different. Fran has come here to ask me some questions about one of my favorite things in the world. One of my favorite things. And you want to know something? This is a little funny story. I'm just going to say this just right off. So on my desk here, the newspaper article is on the desk here so that some of my clients can come in. Someone picked up the newspaper article, read it, and said, "Oh, you do Toastmasters." And I said, "I do." And she said, "I didn't think you did anything other than dogs." What does that say about my life? So it's true. I do Toastmasters, and it is one of my favorite things, and that's how Fran and I met. Mm-hmm. And so, because it's so important to me, I'm actually going to read all of Fran's qualifications in Toastmasters, because she's been doing it for a while. She's
14 years now.
I think she's like my original mentor, although I didn't actually make you my mentor. I don't think I told her. I was just like, I'm secretly going to pretend like she's my mentor because she's so amazing. So Fran Watson has been a member of Toastmasters, an organization which is designed to help people develop their communication and leadership skills. That's important to keep in mind. I want to point that out because everyone always says the same thing to me. "Oh, it's about public speaking." I hate that, right? It's not just about public speaking. I can't even, we'll talk about it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about that. She has been the past area governor, district public relations officer, and she's held like every position in the club, like possible, multiple times. Like she's done it all. So today she's going to talk to me about how Toastmasters made a difference in my life and my business. How fascinating. It has. Oh, it has.
It is indeed fascinating.
It is.
I am always impressed, Tracy, with your ability to stand up and speak. You are such a natural. And 2 years ago, you took your speech from club level through area, division, and all the way to the district conference where you took first place.
I did. How exciting. That was awesome. Yeah. That was my second attempt at that, which was pretty good. I think the year before I placed second. So I tried it again because I was like, second isn't good enough. Yeah. And went all the way through to the district level and placed first. These are really important. I actually have my trophies are in my living room, and I actually admire them. It's a huge accomplishment. Mm-hmm. For me anyway. I really do think it. And the other thing too is now I get to say stuff like I am an award-winning public speaker.
Absolutely.
Award-winning. Yay.
Now that was for the humorous speech contest, those 2 times that you went and competed. Now this year, once again you're competing, but this time it's for the international speech contest, and there is a possibility that you could go all the way to Toastmasters International with your speech and speak in Washington in August. How is this one different?
Well, it's different because you can go all the way to Washington. You go all the way to Worlds. And when I'm going to tell you a little story. When I first started, the very first year that I started in January. And in that time, they were having, the spring conference was coming up, and you guys were talking about the international speech competition. I couldn't compete because you have to have completed 6 of your manual speeches before you can compete. But I was fascinated by it because when I joined the club, I didn't know that there was even a competition. So I was like, what is this competition? What's going on? And one of our members, Fred Schuck, also a huge fan of Fred's and love Fred. So he was actually competing, and he was going to the division level. So I drove down to Ottawa to watch this competition. I was blown away. I sat, it was at the Citizen Building. I sat and I watched Fred compete, and I watched that year it was Helene and Alfonso competed as well. And I was just amazed by the level of this competition was incredible. And I remember sitting in the audience thinking to myself, one day I will make it onto that stage at the Ottawa Citizen Building. Like, one day, that's going to be me. Now, as luck would have it, I didn't know, again, because I was just new to the club and I was learning all this stuff, but I found out about the humorous speech competition. Anybody who knows me knows I steer towards the humor side of things. So I thought this would be a really good opportunity for me to express myself in the way that I like to express myself and try that. So I didn't go that year, but I went the next year, and that's when I placed second, and then the year after that I placed first. But there's always been in the back of my head I want to compete at the international level. Now, the international level, of course, has more levels. You can go a little bit further. You can make it all the way to the world stage, which, again, amazing. I was like, you could stand and compete, be the world's best public speaker. How amazing is that? So I really was like, I think I can try it. Now, it's out of my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit different. Fran helped me out by saying, you can still be funny, Tracy. Doesn't have to be that serious.
Yeah. Can you be anything else but funny, Tracy? Really?
It's really hard, really. I have to get by on something. You're not getting by on my looks. So it's my personality. She's got a charming personality, Tracy does. So I really thought, I want to try this. I really want to try this. Fran gave me a lot of support. I think Fran's been my number one fan, because she's pretty much at every competition and she's always cheering me on. And so with her encouragement about, you can still be funny, I thought, well, I'll try it. I tried last year, and I made it all the way to the Division B competition, and I placed third, which was still
pretty darn good.
I walked with my head held high after that, because the competition was fierce, and it was a good competition. And I walked away and I learned a lot, and I really was like, okay, I got to up my game a little bit. So I've been continuing, tried again this year, and now I've placed first, so I get to now move on to the district level. I don't even have a point of reference for the excitement of that. I know I've done it at Humorous, but it's a completely different ballgame for me. So I am literally, I've been watching other public speakers. I've been going to different clubs. I've been like, what's with my outfit? I mean, I'm a maniac. I'm literally a maniac about it. It's pretty exciting.
Now, I know that you have gone to about 5 or 6 different clubs to present your speech and get some feedback, which is really good, because that allows you to see how do other people see you.
Yes, and it's been a fascinating journey to see the different, I'm going to say, flavors of all the different clubs. They are a little bit different, and some of the points that you get are things that we never even discussed in our club. The one was actually your sister's club. She gave me a feedback about lip smacking, and I was like, I didn't even know I did that. And then, and our club was like, what does one do to correct that? Because we didn't even, it's just something we didn't pick up on. So every club sort of has their own different little flavor, and they have their things so it was fascinating and interesting to see the different types of clubs. That's the beautiful thing about Toastmasters. You can find your right fit.
Yeah, and sure. You can visit any club you want to visit. I actually visited when I was in Hawaii a few years ago. I found out that there was a Toastmasters club, and it was going to be meeting while I was there.
Awesome.
And I called them up and I said, can I come and attend your meeting? They said, absolutely. And I won table topics. Hey.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I knew around here, but yeah, I guess they wouldn't care. Toastmasters loves visitors.
Absolutely. They're happy to see people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, my daughter is a Toastmaster in Taiwan, and when she came to visit my mom at the seniors home where my mom is, the person who looks after activities said, could you come and talk to us about Taiwan? So there she was, spending a half an hour talking about Taiwan. She came to visit my mom.
Impromptu speech.
Impromptu speaking. I mean, Toastmasters, you never know when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Now, I know you have said that it's helped you in your business as well. Can you tell me a little bit about how?
I believe that, in general, the art of communication, face-to-face communication, is starting to decrease. Like it's a skill set that we're kind of losing. And at the heart of every business, it does come down to face-to-face communication. And we try as much as we can here with my videos and whatnot to create what we call know, like, and trust with our clients. And in this business, this is Beyond Obedience, this is a dog business, we're taking people's pets, which is, I mean, they love them as much as they love every other family member. These are family members that we're taking, and they really want to know and like and trust you. And that art of communication for the client is important, but also for my business side of it, training dogs. Like, you think that my job is that I'm training dogs. I'm actually not training dogs. The dogs are simple. Dogs are just being dogs. They don't really need to be trained. I'm actually training people. And that sounds kind of cliche-ish a little bit. I'm not training dogs, I'm training people. But it's actually true. So the skill that is required to train people is actually understanding the person in front of you, finding a communication style that works for that person. And those people are individuals. Again, the dogs are just being dogs, right? They might have different behaviors and barking, jumping, aggression, whatever it is. They're just being dogs. What you're actually doing as a dog trainer is you're trying to reach the human to help them help their dog. And that communication style varies quite drastically. If I'm dealing with someone who's very soft, then I can't be, you just need to be tougher. You know, that won't work for them. So we need to come up with a way to communicate the desires to help that person, as opposed to someone else that's maybe pretty, like, he's a tough guy and you need him to settle down, you know. So there's so much difference in that communication style, knowing your audience.
I was just going to say, it's knowing your audience, which we learn about in Toastmasters.
We learn about,
it's so important.
It's one of, I swear, I think I quote this one a lot. And I learned it in Toastmasters, but it was know your audience. Now, in the frame of reference, when I first learned it, it was literally when you're about to speak. If I'm talking to a group of dentists, I need to kind of know my audience and know their language, know what is important to them, as opposed to if I'm talking to the PTA, right? Which makes sense. And you think about it and go, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense. Where that comes in life all the time, in just a one-on-one conversation. Know your audience, know who you're talking to. And I had used this example with Fran before, but I've had people come up to me and be like, oh my God, I'm so tired because I had to work like an extra 2 hours, and thank God the weekend's coming. And I'm looking at them thinking, I don't get a weekend. I work 7 days a week. You don't know tired, right? But that little exchange puts me in kind of like, you know, it changes the conversation a little bit. You got to know your audience, know who you're talking to, right? So it's a very important aspect, and it certainly comes into play here, and we use it all the time. I think with Toastmasters has allowed me to be able to see where my communication deficits were. Like now I'm like, oh geez, I didn't know my audience there when I spoke. I spoke before knowing. And one of the greatest lessons that public speaking organization taught me was actually not necessarily to speak, but to listen.
Absolutely, because really 80% of a meeting is listening. Yeah. Only one person speaks at a time.
Yeah. And we're constantly working on what are we going to say next, and our brain is thinking about that. We're not actually actively listening. And in my business, listening to people is key. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's true for most businesses, but I know, you know, for me personally, in my experiences here, the art of listening to people, sitting down and actually listening to them. They're not talking about their dog barking, and they're talking about how their dog embarrasses them. And that's an emotional thing, right? So once you start to get all of that information out of people, well, now that starts to shape how you create a program to help them.
Absolutely.
So
now, speaking of creating programs, I understand that right now you're actually creating a program to train trainers and using some of the skills that you've developed in public speaking, and also you're very dedicated to the fact that people need to know how to communicate properly. And as trainers, it's vital that you need, as you said, you need to know your audience. Who are you speaking to when your people come in?
Yes, we are. We're doing it's called the Trainers United Summit, and we're bringing in dog trainers. There's 3 of us. There's myself, Karen Laws, and Ted Eptimitis, and we're all doing different aspects. But for me personally, and it's funny because people mentioned it because they're like, well, don't you want to teach them dog training? No, I don't. I really don't, because I think, as I say, the dog training is secondary to what is incredibly important, which is communication. If you cannot effectively communicate that to the human, then the dog training will go downhill, right? It doesn't make any difference if I can train a dog. I have to be able to translate that information to the human to continue on. So I really wanted to focus on that communication, face-to-face class communication, giving people the confidence to stand up in front of a group of people and talk, as well as on video. That's a big thing nowadays. Everybody's posting their videos and whatnot, and I mean, I still have to find myself and correct myself on my ums and my ahs and my so's. I'm a sower. You'll know now. Everybody's gonna repeat this and go, she does say so a lot.
Me too. It's one of mine.
But we all have them. We
Absolutely.
all have our little crutches. But this gives you an opportunity and Toastmasters gives you an opportunity to have it pointed out to you, where you can go, oh right, but not just point it out to you, but actually reward you when you're doing better. That's the big thing. Right?
We say last week you had 5 ums, this week only 2.
Only 2, and you're like, yes, and you're really like focusing and thinking about it. So I said so. This summer, I really want to focus on that. I think that any business's success depends on great communication skills.
Super. So Tracy, thank you very, very much for talking to me about Toastmasters today, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
The upcoming contest, and I'll be there cheering you on.
Of course you will.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. There we go.
That one was a little bit better.